You're listening to the We Talk Nerd podcast, the podcast about gaming, movies, and everything nerd. I'm your host, Brandon.
And I'm Rob.
And I know it's been a while, guys, but we're back. We're here. And we'll start with talking to Rob this week and see what he's been up to for the last 2 weeks, something like that.
Well, we did have a small podcast last week, just Andrew and I, but I'll say it's really good to have you back and getting the three of us back in. A lot to talk about this week. But since last week, I've had a good opportunity to get my hands dirty with a couple of games that I've been kind of putting off a bit. So I started back up Pillars of Eternity. I thought I would just check it out, and I ended up putting about 3 hours into it. So for me, that's like a marathon gaming session. So
the second one just came out, didn't it?
Yeah. So I saw it and was about to order it, and I thought, well, wait a minute. I didn't even play the first one yet. Not that I have to, but just I feel wasteful, right? So
yeah.
And of course, everyone considers Pillars of Eternity probably like one of the best of the CRPGs. Up there with like a Baldur's Gate or well, I'm gonna remember the name later, but the Torment game.
Planescape.
Yeah, Planescape. There you go. I did get in a little bit of board gaming. I've been playing some Terraforming Mars with the usual board gaming crew. That's a really fun game, and if you've never heard of it, or if you're thinking about getting into board games, that's one that just every time you play, it's just a different experience every single time, and it's so fun. Essentially, you get dealt out some cards, and you have a map of Mars. You're trying to plant trees and raise the oxygen and get the heat up and everything. But then you might also play a card that throws an asteroid down on your opponent. So, yeah.
That's interesting.
So it's kind of cooperative because you're all trying to get the same goal, but at the same time, very competitive. At the end, it's basically who becomes like the ruler of Mars from just their economic advantage. So cool, easy to learn, but tons of so many different changes to the game style because of the cards coming in out of order. So you might get different ways of advancing your culture. So really cool game, recommend it. And other than that, just trying to get through Assassin's Creed and God of War, and trying to not neglect any of the babies, take care of them all. And still be able to do all that. So yeah, been playing a lot, but I wish I was making better progress on like a particular game. So that's my challenge this week. How about you, Andrew?
Keeps building.
Oh man.
They are. I think it'd be a little bit before it hits Switch, but yeah. Of course. Cool. I've been kind of the opposite of you, Andrew. Every day that I've came home and been tired and wanted to relax, I've just pumped out some God of War because nothing relaxes me more than punching things in the face, hitting with axes. Yeah, I finally finished it, and what a game. It's going to take a lot for something to beat that game this year, for sure. But I encourage everybody to beat the game because a lot of surprises there.
Mm-hmm.
And
I'm going to do it. It's such a cool game. I'm really having a lot of fun with it. I'm jealous that you're able to beat it.
Yeah, it took me a while. I feel like it took forever. But yeah, I did a lot. I didn't 100% it, but I did do a lot of side stuff. And luckily, you can continue to do side stuff at the end. So if you just want to pump story out and go back and do it later, you can do that. But I also tried out the new Destiny stuff because I own it. So why not play some?
Yeah, I did it too, but I didn't finish the campaign. I got kind of bored with it.
I finished it. I
didn't want to bring it up.
I at least finished, but
what's your thoughts?
I'm not impressed either. Really, it still feels like Destiny 2. So, but I feel like, I mean, I didn't expect much. This was already like planned DLC. They pretty much already knew what they were going to do with it. We can hold on.
I think we can get to it. We'll talk about it maybe in the news or something as it comes up. We got a section for it. Well, to be fair, we talked about Destiny a whole lot last week, so I don't want to go too much into it. Yeah,
but my thoughts is nothing game changing. So if you're out there wondering if this is different, it's still the same stuff. Nothing major different. But that's I mean that's cool. We can know about, you're more of a hardcore player than I am, but on the casual side of people who are looking in, like, is this any different? Not unless you're hardcore about it, I guess.
Yeah.
Let's move on to let's talk about something else and talk about another game I haven't played a lot of.
Yeah, and I feel like I'm really neglecting, but the main complaint for Sea of Thieves is that the content has been pretty light, and they're looking to address that on May 29th. There's going to be a new DLC coming out. There's a free DLC called The Hungering Deep. And if you haven't seen the trailer for it, or like the teaser trailer, it's actually really funny. It's got a pirate with 2 peg legs, a hook for a hand, and 1 eye. So basically, he's missing everything. Yeah, and he's talking about all the monsters under the water, and how, like, there was all these stories about these huge, like, and basically they're alluding to like sharks and squids and these like giant monsters under the water.
Mm-hmm.
And how, like, people used to pray to him so that they could, like, go free. And then again, at the end, he kind of gives like a knowing nod and said, yeah, but those are just stories, right? And then he like kind of goes back to it. So it's actually like a really cool trailer with like good production values. So I recommend checking out just because it's kind of fun. And it's if you like Rare's style, the video is just chock full of it. So hopefully the game will be too.
Yeah, I'm hoping for more content from that game. It's kind of lacking. Hasn't been enough to make me play a lot of it.
Yeah, I think it's got a good framework. They probably were wrong to come out at $60 and still have so much left to do. But I mean, there's tons of room for it to be enhanced.
Yeah, the sad thing is, I hope they don't take the. I'm assuming it doesn't have a terribly large player base, but I hope they don't take that as no one cares for this game.
Yeah, we'll see.
Right. I'm not optimistic. I'm hopeful. I'm hope that they add a lot of fun stuff to it where it can have a big community. But I'm not holding my breath.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I know how games work now. I've seen, we've seen all these games come out with big promises, and if the community doesn't, fit with it, it falls flat. Sort of like with the Battlefront 2, it's almost pretty, except for an official announcement, they've pretty much said they're not really doing much with Battlefront 2 anymore.
Well, they said they were going to put like some Han Solo content.
Yeah, but it's not even like new.
So we'll see if the movie sucks, then this may be like the end of the line, right?
They promised like a bunch of like all the DLC whatever DLC would be free with new maps and stuff, but we haven't seen any of that. They haven't talked about it at all, and I don't think it's going to happen. I feel like they're probably going to move forward with another game we might talk about here in a minute.
Yeah. No, I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Yeah, here's the thing: is that DLC for Sea of Thieves is free, so the content is free. No one's paid for this DLC coming up and has like high expectations because they spent $90. It's impossible to spend $90 on the game. You know, your $60 is basically a lifetime subscription to whatever this online, you know, competitive game is, this open world competitive, you know, sailing game. And that may end up becoming not much more than it is right now. But I think Microsoft and just their lack of first party content, they have to do something to make this go off one way or the other. And I think everyone I've been watching play it, everyone that I've seen stream it, they enjoy the gameplay itself. Like they have fun with it. And, you know, it is a cool world in which you can go and do some crazy stuff. And I'll throw down and do like go sailing by myself and play a game, you know, just spend like an hour going around and digging up chests and everything. But that's really all the time I have. I think if I was, you know, back at a different stage of my life where I was able to commit hours and hours to it, this is the perfect game for it. It's great, social, you play with other people.
I think the community that is like, if the people who are already there are happy with what they have now, and anything extra is great, you know.
Yeah. Well, they unveiled the whole Athena quest that once you hit the Pirate Legends and everything. So that wasn't known that was going to happen when it first came out. So they got a lot more content if you get all the way up to Pirate Legend. Now, the grind to Pirate Legend, that's brutal. Yeah. So I don't know how many people are going to get to that, but if you did, there's a whole lot more content right after that.
And I know they added some fan service with this week, or maybe even today or yesterday. They finally added private crews, so you no longer have to just be in an open crew all the time. That was something people begged for, and they got. So I think they're pretty good on like fan servicing. So if the community wants something, they typically get it. Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see what that means. But I think right now, just you know, keep an eye out. 2 weeks. If you own the game, you got some free content coming. If you don't, maybe, you know, check out on Twitch or on YouTube. At least watch the trailer, because I found it very funny and I really like the style that they go with. Yeah. So you guys are familiar with the Steam Link box, right? A little device that you can hook up to your TV and turn into a portable gaming computer. Yeah. Well, they released the app today for Android, and I decided to go ahead and check it out. So I paired up my Xbox One controller to my Pixel 2 XL, and I propped it up, and I connected to my gaming computer, and I was able to stream Nier Automata over Wi-Fi to my phone's display, and I was sitting there playing with the controller, able to play, you know, 60 frames a second, no problems. It was pretty impressive, just the fidelity that I was able to go across. And while that may not be great for a lot of people that, you know, like if you don't have that controller set up, or maybe just say, well, why don't I just play on a computer? You may not always have access to it. You may be down like in the, you know, in the living room or something with the rest of the family, kind of hanging out, and now you got a chance to have your Steam games right in front of you without taking up another screen. Yeah.
Now, do you have to be on the same network for that to work?
Yeah, on the same Wi-Fi or whichever else. So, yeah, so you couldn't go outside the house and play it, which, you know, that would be the dream, right? It just needs bandwidth. Yeah, it just needs a lot of bandwidth. It needs 15 megabits, 15 megabytes per second, and that's a bit much for upload for most of the country. Some places can do it, but it's a bit much. But hey, it's free. It is in beta, so it was a little buggy. I started playing an older game that ran at a different resolution, and it had some issues. I had to kill it and bring it back up. But it was free, and it was kind of cool. So, you know, PSA, it's out there. So if you like it, download it. So you guys go to Dave & Buster's?
Yep.
Well, that will be the exclusive place to play the new Halo arcade game.
Wow! So exciting!
Now, it sounds absolutely terrible, right? Who wants to go to I mean, Dave & Buster's is cool and all, but, you know, you go there and it's like you're playing iPhone games, like iPhone apps, but like on big screens.
Yeah.
But this looks cool. If you haven't seen it, it's did you guys ever play like Halo like on the couch, like co-op with other people?
Oh, of course.
Well, that's what this is. 4 people, you get a like a mounted machine gun, and they have like warthog missions, and they've got like corridor shooting, and you can have up to 4 Spartans playing on the same screen, and it's like 2 widescreens side by side.
Huh.
And if you've played a game like any kind of what they call a like on rails, like a shooter on rails, this would be a similar type of experience. But it was the Halo universe, and they had all the vehicles and all the enemies and all sorts of cool stuff going on. So
interesting.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. 343. Now you're not playing as Master Chief, but you are playing as probably the it's the subname is Fireteam Raven. So probably similar to
is that the one
like
from,
ODST.
5?
Yeah,
I never played 5, so I don't know.
So like that. But anyway, look kind of cool. Thought I'd bring it up, and if you got Dave and Buster's coming this summer, you'll be able to go down and check it out. I might go by just to see it. Yeah, they definitely do not. In fact, no one sponsors us. In fact, people have threatened to take money away from us if we brought up their names. So yeah, no sponsorship here. And then the last thing that I've got kind of a news dump here, but NVIDIA also announced that they are bringing out at the end of this month. They promise that they're going to have their new 4K 144 hertz G-Sync panels.
If you have lots and lots of money to give to NVIDIA.
So for all of you very wealthy gamers listening to this podcast, give us a follow, maybe a sub.
Where's the Patreon link at?
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
it makes G-Sync
top
panels,
quality, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got some Dell G-Sync panels, and I like them. They're just 1440. Nothing too outrageous. So I'm like a 4K. I couldn't even imagine. Like it's going to be what kind of machine you would need to push.
You would need
144 frames.
Some pretty great graphics cards to play 144 at 4K.
Well, and there is still rumors about what the 1180 is going to do, but that is actually the name for it, and what it'll be being launched in June. It sounds like. So I'm sure it syncs up.
Something else I can't afford.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Must be nice.
Yeah. But what else we got going on out there?
Well, lots of leaks, a lot of announcements right ahead of E3.
Yeah, right around the corner.
Right around the corner. But Fallout 3 for the Switch got leaked. This is labeled as the anniversary edition, so not positive if it's going to be a remaster, if it's a HD version, or if it's just a bundle of DLC.
Well, so when you say the HD version, so I originally played on the 360, as probably a lot of people did. I don't know if it came out on PC at the same time. I think it was a little delayed.
I'm not sure. But I also played it on the Xbox.
Yeah. So yeah, I remember having tons of fun with it. It's not my favorite Fallout. That will always be New Vegas.
New Vegas.
Yeah. 4 came really close, but New Vegas I think is the pinnacle. So I'm looking forward to that. But 3 really turned things around because it was the first 3D one. Because Fallout 1 and Fallout 2 were the overhead isometric views, and still great games, but very old. Fallout 3 was. The hype for that was so amazing because it was probably, I would say 12 years after the original one launched.
Yeah.
So, it was delayed quite a bit. Yeah. And then, of course, Oblivion was, out just the year prior.
Yeah, but that's, we might see it for the PS4 and Xbox One. But we'll see at E3 probably.
Cool.
But, it's cool to see the Switch, maybe it's good that Skyrim wasn't a one and done for Bethesda, and they're just like, all right, we're done. They're
What I would
grandfathered
love
to
to see them just go back to the old school and say, all right, we got Daggerfall. Let's update that. Let's bring back Redguard. You know, there's people think like Bethesda games started with Morrowind, but there's
more.
a number of games before that were just absolutely amazing that are just truthfully they're just too dated to play nowadays. Daggerfall is rough to look at, to put it nicely. So I would love to see them do something. They've got IPs. It's the same IP. Just do it again.
Yeah.
It was Elder Scrolls 2 or something like that. So
I'm happy to see the Switch succeed and get third-party support. So hopefully they keep going on. Hopefully they get the new titles on there, big titles on there. I'm not always going to get the big titles on there, but if it's a game that I'm like, yeah, that'd be great to play on the go, I'll definitely pick that up for sure.
Yeah, I agree, and it's wonderful to see, and I feel justified having two of these things running around right now.
Right.
So it really helps for that.
Yep. But I don't know a lot about this. I never played the first one, but Stalker 2 was announced, and it should be here at 2021, which seems like a long way away. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's the same people that made Metro.
I don't know. Stalker was a game that was kind of a tech demo for years. That they had brought up, they kept bringing up and saying, well, this is going to be what all first-person shooters are going to look like, and it was this whole open world type of thing. And I want to say that came out in 2007 was when that came out. Hold on, that's Shadow of Chernobyl. I think it was Call of Pripyat.
I just know that Co was really big and hyped about it and everything, but
Yeah, I'm less enthused about it. It was in development for years and years and years. So I remember reading about it in the early 2000s, and then it finally launched, and apparently in 2007. At that point, I was probably deep into Oblivion, playing that pretty much nonstop. And if it wasn't that, then it was any of the other amazing games that came out in 2007, BioShock, or just Call of Duty. I mean, everything came out in 2007. So yeah, no surprise there that we skipped over it.
Yeah, but yeah. So if you're into that, there's that coming up, as well as a definitive edition for Divinity Original Sin 2, which I feel like maybe kind of early. I feel like it took a lot longer for the first one to get it a definitive edition. But I'm not sure what a definitive edition can bring to it. Hasn't been any DLC or anything.
Yeah, I get it's all marketing. It may come with some other stuff. It may be like a soundtrack included. It may not be a whole lot.
It's supposed to be that if you own the original version, you're supposed to get the definitive edition for free.
Yeah, so it's probably just like similar to The Witcher and stuff. If you own the original Witcher and you had bought it straight up, now they kept updating it, giving you the enhanced edition and everything else. So, maybe there's some graphical improvements. Really hard to say. The original Sin's not even a year old, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, not even a year old. No.
Yeah.
Yeah, but most of the Game of the Year editions normally are a big DLC package type deal. I'll have to look into it more, see. But that's coming in August.
I was a little curious. I'm like, what's the they throw around Game of the Year edition quite a bit. And there's a lot of really terrible games that got it.
Yeah.
I would say man, some really tough ones. I know there was a I don't know if you played the game Two Worlds, but that was a pretty janky old RPG that got a Game of the Year edition. For what reason, I have no idea. Just trying to drum up some extra business or extra sales. Well, I think well deserved. Yeah, it wasn't game of the year, but it was good.
Okay, so I pulled up a list of what is in the definitive. So the third chapter of the game is being completely overhauled, rewrote, rescripted. Characters are getting updated. The map markers are being replaced. A bunch of UI stuff being changed.
So it's like a director's
tutorials.
cut.
Yeah, PvP stuff's being changed. So yeah, a lot of that stuff. Yeah, I guess so. I guess they're one like there's this version of the game where everything's redone, and then there's what we originally released. Like,
yeah.
Well, like I said, if you own the original, you get the new one for free. But
yeah, I was looking up Two Worlds. There's a Epic Edition. There's there's like 12 different versions of Two Worlds, and I'm pretty sure it's just to try to drum up extra sales and extra support. Most of these are going for about $5. So I think they're scraping whatever dollars they can together for it. But talking about games that might actually be Game of the Year candidate, E3 is around the corner.
Yeah.
And there is so much hype for that right now. But the one I got my eye on is Cyberpunk 2077.
You and me both, brother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, basically. Cyberpunk 2077, I think, for anyone that doesn't know, developed by the Witcher 3 development team. So already huge hopes for this game already. They keep putting out trailer videos. They've got the look and feel down from those videos. Now we got to see if the actual game world stacks up quite the same. And I think it will, based on what I've seen from what the Witcher 3 was able to do and just how engrossing and deep that game was. And the fact that they have continued to support it years after release. I mean, it came out in 2015, and they did a release this year for consoles, giving it a 4K edition.
Mm-hmm.
They may have gotten some extra sales out of it, but I think it's just they love their games, and they try to make sure that they're still played for years on end.
That is a great company.
Mm-hmm.
A great game developing company that cares for its player base.
I agree.
Really?
You go ahead.
I mean,
No, it's an RPG.
No.
It's already been. Yeah, it's already been said. RPG. Nope.
That's what they said.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an open world cyberpunk RPG. Yeah. I would say it's closer to The Witcher than most other games. Like
I would still,
fair enough. It's still early. No one's seen the actual game. No one knows if it's going to be like another Arkham Knight situation where the game comes out, half baked and doesn't even run on people's PCs. So you're right, but I just don't see it as being a letdown, given the pedigree and the amount of time they spent on it. Unless they forgot how to make games, Fair enough. And I'll be taking vacation days when this comes out. Yeah. Easily.
But I think we're going to get an hour slot at E3 for this. So
yeah,
we'll definitely see at E3 what to expect.
It's so rare to see an hour devoted to any game. So for this one to get it, it's really cool.
It won't be on the main panels, but there will be a panel at some point during E3 where they'll have an hour just this game covered.
Yeah, great. Looking forward to it.
So we'll see it all. But
Yeah.
speaking of a game that we probably won't see an hour of, much like we didn't see anything of last year, Anthem. Anthem.
Yeah.
What do you guys anything to say about Anthem?
Well, it seems like all the looter shooters are taking a back seat this year. So in addition to Anthem not being around, we'll also not have a Borderlands 3 showing. So yeah, so I think just more of the same. We're stuck with the awful games that are there available for us for looter shooters. There's nothing really to enjoy, nothing to really like. Just bad games lumped upon us. Well, I think anything besides anything
Anything would be
besides just
nice.
Rocket Boots.
Yeah, like
Which
how
looked
like,
amazing.
think back to all the different scripted gameplays we've seen at E3. They're always so different from the final product. Always.
Oh man, what was the one that Ubisoft put out? The
Division was really different.
Yeah, and I'm thinking of
Remember
the
the original
hacker game.
Division one? That was
Yeah, the Division definitely looked a bit different, but the demo that came out was pretty. Yeah, that one changed quite a bit, but a lot of that was because they went more open world and more looter shooter and all that sort of thing.
Right.
So they pivoted their offering, which okay, I can understand that. But Watch Dogs, if you remember that, looked fantastic at E3.
graphic. You're talking about graphic wise, yeah.
I mean, graphic for sure. It just came out looking like hot garbage when it finally launched.
Yeah. That was like the big
rough.
talk too. Sorry, we talked about like, man, this game looks great. And then it came out. I was like, poo.
Yep. Yeah. And I think that's just what happens when you have a game like what Ubisoft puts out, to where they're kind of so many different games and they kind of have an identity crisis. So, we'll see what Anthem's got to bring. With that said, is there anything that you guys are hoping to see from E3 this year?
There's a lot of stuff I'm hoping to see. I'm excited for the Cyberpunk stuff. I really like to see more about that. That's probably my biggest thing I'm looking forward to seeing. But I am curious to see if they might show some of that Pokemon Switch stuff they teased at.
I figure we're gonna see some Brawl, right?
Of course.
Yeah.
We'll finally figure out what that is.
Last year's Switch, Nintendo's panel was great. They showed off the Rabbids game. They showed off Odyssey a little bit. I mean, think about just all the great games that came out after E3 last year. And, more of the same, hopefully, this year.
Yeah, but this year, their thing is Nintendo at E3.
Yeah.
That's what the title of their stream stuff's going to be.
Yeah.
E3 is the time frame.
Yeah, E3 gives premier placement to Xbox and PlayStation, and that's really their main ones. But they also had Nintendo Direct, I think, at that same weekend, and it just kind of fell around that same time frame. But I was, to be honest, I watched online. I thought it was just part of E3. So for them not to have been part of the same conference would have been a surprise to me.
Yeah, I think it is. But like at the convention center, they have their treehouse set up. Which is they don't have a panel at E3, but they do like their pre-recorded thing they show, and then they have their quote unquote tree house, which is them showing games off and hanging out and stuff. But I think there's this year we'll have Xbox, PlayStation, EA, Ubisoft, Nintendo. I think Bethesda still got a panel this year.
Oh yeah.
And the PC panel. It's not big, but they do have the PC panel. They showed some cool games on there.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, if we see any more Red Dead stuff. A new trailer came out. No gameplay. It does give me excited. I love the original Red Dead. But tell me, what about this other game we had a trailer for come out that I haven't seen, that apparently Andrew loves?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. 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 So I would say that Rage, when it came out, was a very cool looking game with great great graphics and always good shooting coming from the ID Tech and everything, but just didn't really have as much of as deep of a gameplay as what Borderlands was offering. So I think Borderlands was fun and Rage was a little frustrating. It was a tough game to play, and I think it brought a little bit of a it was mixed reviews to say it the best. I think would be just saying no one really, there was no one that put their identity around Rage, and if you had a Rage streamer, probably is not still streaming now. But yeah, I mean, maybe it'll be good. We'll keep an eye out. I'm not gonna shoot it down.
What about you know what that reminds me of? The whole Rage thing. The other game that came out, was that a Brink? You guys remember?
Yeah,
But see, that's what kind of comes to mind when I think about that
came out around the same time. Yeah, Brink was a disappointment. Um, yeah, average. What- how above? How above? It was a 7. Okay.
I'm seeing a 6.7.
Well, Andrew always trying to pump things up.
But what?
Well, that's not fair to say either because Doom was made 20 years prior. So, yeah, it was that game and that same engine, but if I were to tell you or ask you what was your favorite Quake, you're probably not going to say Quake 4, which was the game that came out the year before. Yeah, but maybe not the same. It might have actually. I don't even know if it's using the same tech engine. To be honest with you, but the new Doom is cool. But I think it was a big pivot from what they had been doing.
But I think what Andrew's trying to say is that this Rage will probably follow suit with Doom. Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. We'll see. We'll see. But how? Was it earlier this week though? Wasn't the release earlier this week or was it last week?
It was last week. Yeah. Tuesday of last week, right?
Nice.
Wow, that's awesome.
Nice.
Mm.
Stuff. I don't know. I didn't get the chance to listen to last week's podcast yet, but did you talk about that real world like treasure hunt that went down from the patch?
No, we didn't talk about it. I didn't see it till the following day, but yeah, it was pretty cool. Maybe for people that don't know, or actually, Brandon, why don't you take it?
Yeah, I don't know all the details, but I know there was somewhere in the new game there was some kind of I don't know if it was a phrase or something somebody found and put it on Reddit or something. They broke it down, found some real world coordinates out of it, and it was in like Central Park or something in New York, and it was like a bunch of Destiny 2 swag stuff hiding out in the park, or maybe it was out in the woods, something like that. But yeah, that's kind of cool. That's cool to see.
Mm-hmm.
Bungie do.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah. Cool stuff. It's cool that they put secret stuff like what if no one ever noticed that and like it just sat out there forever? You know what I mean?
It's the internet and it's Destiny, so people will always notice everything. But wasn't it like a sword or something?
Yeah.
Like what if like a kid found it? Like what if like a little kid like wandering around? Yeah, it was some like it was like kind of cool though. It looked like you wouldn't want to mess with someone. It was like a telescoping sword or something, right? Like it's like a staff or something that expanded out.
Oh yeah, it was like a spear type deal thing. Yeah. That's cool. Yeah, javelin. That's what it was. Yeah, that's cool stuff.
Yeah. Well, I think that's it for the news. So let's talk about some reviews.
Well, I'm gonna hold off on one of the ones that I've been talking about for a while, BattleTech. We're kind of running a little bit over time, but I'm gonna hold off a little bit on that. Talk about other stuff. Might even hold off on the beta stuff because I'm not too far into beta.
Oh yeah.
20 minutes. I'll talk. Okay. Because yeah, I'll just talk a little bit about it. Not going too much detail, but I have done the starting stuff for both Alliance and the Horde. The Horde is literally just the opposite of the Alliance, and you just kind of see how the Alliance stuff plays out. I don't think it's very thought out much. If you don't know already, Alliance does the whole invasion of Lordaeron, and that's really cool as an Alliance player. But as a Horde player, you're just on the opposite receiving side of that, and pretty much whatever happens with the Alliance, you're just kind of backtracking the whole way through. So I don't think Blizzard put a lot of thought into how can we make this different. Just listen for somebody and push everybody else off to the side. But it's not good. It's not like if you're a Horde player, I would be very disappointed. So that's kind of thoughts. And I don't know, as a WoW player, as somebody who's not really done the highest of in-game content, but I've experienced the story, it feels really awkward to be in like this really big hero. I killed this world soul of this planet of Legion, and now I'm back out on Azeroth killing a bunch of wolves, trying to get their skin to turn into the local Joe over here because he needs some wolf skins. It feels very awkward, and I'm not a fan of that. I feel like I should be doing other bigger, more important things while this other stuff. But yeah, I'll talk about beta a little bit more and the big experience of it later. But I do have one little movie tidbit before I move into maybe some TV reviews. But they came out and said that Miss Marvel will be in the MCU at some point. That was confirmed. That they are making plans to put that character in the MCU. And I think as Rob pointed out on these notes here, there's multiple iterations of Miss Marvel, but I don't think they said which one they're going with.
So I have
So,
some suspicions. So let me give a brief overview of kind of where the Miss Marvel, Captain Marvel situation is at right now.
yeah,
So I think everyone that has seen Infinity War or heard about Infinity War or reads on the
lives,
internet,
breathes.
yes, has heard that the next Marvel movie or the next related Marvel movie to the Avengers is going to be Captain Marvel. So
Mhm.
Captain Marvel is a lady. Her name is Carol Danvers, and she was a USAF fighter pilot. And she basically got her powers from much the same way as the Green Lantern did. Some alien, basically gave her the powers. Some alien rays or gave her some abilities, and now she's like super strong as like a defender of the universe. Well,
Is
at the
it?
time, her name. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I just want to. Isn't it has something like you're speaking of aliens? Isn't it the aliens something to do with the ones from Guardians of the Galaxy?
Yeah, yeah,
So, yeah.
basically. So we'll see which ones they actually end up using for the movie. But it was a guy named Marvel, and he was a Kree warrior. So um, and he comes back up from time to time. But he was the original Marvel, and he kind of passes his power over to Carol Danvers, who became the first Miss Marvel. As time went on, though, she ended up assuming the mantle of Captain Marvel, which is originally a guy. Um,
Mhm.
he became something else, and she became Captain Marvel. In that time, she also lost her powers, and there was another hero who has been, I think, I forget her name exactly, but she's an African American lady, and she has gone by a number of different names. I think it's like binary and like some really odd ones. And she became the new Miss Marvel slash Captain Marvel. So what they're doing now is getting past even her to the newest one, which is a Muslim girl, and she is basically got the powers of Reed Richards, where she can grow stretchy and grow long and change her body shape and everything. And she is the current Miss Marvel, and she's also kind of on the kiddier side of the Marvel universe. So it sounds like they'll be bringing her in, and this may be kind of an interesting change, but it might fit right in with that whole Captain Marvel universe. I think it might
Hmm.
breed some confusion, but there are a number of options as far as which one do they bring in and where do they take her from there. So it's either going to be, in my opinion, it's either going to be. Let me get the appropriate name for her.
Yeah,
Um,
it is. It is. I kind of look forward to maybe seeing a scene where one of our cornerstone funny characters talks about how there's a Captain Marvel and also a Miss Marvel.
yeah, the new one is Kamala Khan. Is her name Kamala
Mm-hmm.
Khan? And she's also known as Bendy Girl, Bigfoot, Big M, Captain Marvel, Giant Girl, Karina Caruso, Miss Skepta Marvel, Red Dagger, and Sloth Baby. So she's got a ton of different names. Um, yeah. So this being the new Muslim one, so she is the new Miss Marvel. Before that, I've got to try to find out who this one was. Um,
Well, there are two separate characters with the name Marvel. Like we're already gonna have Captain Marvel. It's already been filmed. That's already done.
mhm.
That's next year. But they came out and said that the character Miss Marvel will also be introduced into the MCU. We have a lot of characters with Marvel in the name.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a ton of different ones. Now, to also throw another wrench into this, there's a Captain Marvel that is on DC side,
Yeah. Shazam.
and he is now known as Shazam. They do that to kind of split that up, but he's going to be played by The Rock, I think,
No.
coming up in the
No.
next movie, or he will,
No.
or The Rock will be in that movie.
Maybe. But I think they're already in the process of filming Shazam. It actually might be done filming. Let me tell you who is. It's not being. No, I'm almost positive.
Yeah, there's all sorts of stuff going on. So should be interesting. I think what's going to be cool, I think whoever they bring in to be the Miss Marvel should be pretty cool. But yeah, they've gone through a bunch of different name changes, and Binaries when she was kind of a celestial being and had like fire powers. I didn't follow that series very closely, but it's always good to expand and bring in new ones, because I wasn't a Guardians fan either, and that ended up becoming probably my favorite of the series, right? So yeah,
Okay.
so more diversity I think is good.
The come full circle. Zachary Levi is the guy playing Shazam.
Yeah,
Shazam.
okay. Well, keep in mind that Zachary Levi, so Shazam turns into a kid, and the kid also turns back into
Billy
that.
Batson.
Yeah, Billy Batson. So we'll see how that goes. They may drop the whole Billy Batson side and just do where Shazam's Shazam all the time, and it's Zachary Levi.
Yeah.
But I had heard The Rock was going to be in there, and he might be in there as Black Adam. That may be what I was actually reading.
And
Shazam.
Yeah,
well, we'll
Shazam
see if it still comes out.
Shazam comes out April 5th next year, so it's actually really close to when Captain Marvel comes out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we'll see what ends up coming up. But I had heard that Black Adam will be played by The Rock in that movie.
We're way
we'll
off.
See. Yeah.
We're way off base from where we were.
Yeah, let's bring it back in.
Yeah, do you guys want to? We're getting.
We've been pushing off these for a little while. Maybe we skipped 20 questions, but we can maybe get through these.
Yeah. So, Lost in Space. Does anybody want to head this up? Does anybody like watch this to completion? Because I haven't. I've still got 2 episodes. Yeah, you haven't even talked the whole lot. You kind of take the head on this. Tell me about Lost in Space. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. 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 Let's say that. That's good. Is it a mystery though? Is it a mystery though? Okay. Yeah. But yeah, I at first I was really into it. I was digging it. The character, the characters play well off each other.
Mm-hmm.
They all have really intricate like relationships, and that's a big part of the story. But also as the further I got along, it kind of felt like Altered Carbon, where some episodes felt like really highly produced and high value, and then it kind of started feeling like, oh, this is the same scene over and over again. We're not really changing up the scenery here. And then it just turned into like, wow, this is feels really cheap.
I never felt like Lost in Space was as good as Altered Carbon.
Nope.
In any of the episodes I saw, I didn't see them all, but Altered Carbon kept me hooked because of the world building and the there was some there's some downsides, but
sets. I'm just talking about sets. But like, Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can see that.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's the point. Maybe I'm not the market for this, but
Yeah.
yeah, this show lost my attention the further I went. Like I got to episode 8, and I don't even want to finish it. Like I don't even care to finish the show. like
Yeah.
yes, sure there was some stuff building up, and then I just don't really care that much. I've turned into other stuff. I started watching other stuff. I
Yeah.
thought the robot was really cool at first, but it turns out he's just really good at standing there and not
Oh no.
doing anything besides standing there.
Oh wow.
I'm going to say 5 out of 10. That is a rating.
Okay. So, Andrew, I think you've got it in the, good, not great category. Almost great though. So, and that's an interesting perspective because, you enjoyed it with the family. And I think that's really cool. I would tell you that I've enjoyed, like, if you think about, some of the other shows that have come out, being able to watch them with people that also dig it at the same time can lead to a lot more enjoyment than sitting there and watching something and being like, yeah, I don't know if this is for me watching it by myself. Stranger Things is a good example of a show that's better when you watch it with other people because they're picking up on nuances and kind of mysteries and everything, and then you start just talking about it and the discussion gets very real. I don't know if Lost in Space is ever going to give you that, but
it did get renewed for a second season though already.
Yeah, well, I'm more interested to hear about the next show that Brandon's got.
Yeah.
I'm probably going to start watching this tomorrow.
All right, this is great. I love this. So a while back, and I hate that I did this. A while back, I talked about a trailer from YouTube about a show called Cobra Kai, which would be a follow-up to Karate Kid. I'm pretty sure I trashed on it and said it looked terrible. The first 2 episodes, the whole series came out. The first 2 were free. The rest were blocked by YouTube Red. Sad, but I was like, I'll watch it and see. I watched them, and I instantly signed up for YouTube Red, and pretty much binged the entire series that weekend. It was great. I loved it. So let me tell you a little bit about it. It takes place 34 years after the the big tournament in the first movie.
Yeah. So this is part of the Karate Kid cinematic universe.
Yeah. At this point. But this is a true sequel. Even Karate Kid 2 was in a different place, didn't have all the same characters.
Japan.
Japan. But this is like a direct sequel in the future. They're adults now. It flips the script a little bit. I'm not going to give spoilers away, but the script kind of flips. It's not your typical Karate Kid. It's very short. It's only 10 episodes. They're 30 minutes each, so you can finish this relatively fast. It's not something you have to invest too much in. For a while there, I thought YouTube Red shows were going to be little, maybe not as good as Netflix quality shows. But let me tell you, the quality of this show, I'm not going to lie, it's pretty great. It's up there.
And it stars
all the
original stars, right? Like, so it's Daniel LaRusso and Johnny.
Yep.
Sweep the leg, Johnny.
There's an episode that even has the mom from the original movie in there.
Oh wow.
A lot of original characters come back in this sequel here. And the first couple episodes, and even a little bit later, they actually show clips from the original movie. Even some scenes never before seen. They never put in the original movie. They put some of those into this to kind of give a different perspective. And they recreate some shots too. There's a scene where it shows Johnny laying on the mat, and that was like a recreation of it and everything. But it's a lot of 80s music. So if you love the 80s, you'll love this movie because it's all what this movie is. Johnny's kind of stuck in the 80s in this movie. But I love the story of it, to be honest with you. I like kind of see how things play out from Johnny's side because after he lost that tournament, he his life kind of went downhill.
I love
in a major way.
His life went to crap after losing a high school karate tournament.
The high school karate tournament. Like, he's an alcoholic who doesn't have a steady job, and Yeah, he lives in a really crappy apartment.
Yeah. He lost his
Well,
girlfriend to
he lost his
dating.
girlfriend, we have you know, the Karate Kid. He's rich. He's got this big excuse me, big car dealership, and he's doing really well for himself. A big family, and it's cool. I would say 8 out of 10.
Wow. Okay.
If you like Karate Kid, check it out. It's fun.
Yeah. I heard that even though he's the hero of the movie, he's kind of a douche.
He is. He is.
So he went from being like the guy everyone rooted for to being like
You're kind of like,
a bit of the villain, right?
But at the same time, I don't want to give anything away. There's also some things you're like, I can see why he would feel this way.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's already been accepted. I guess the second season's already been green lighted, so they're actually already working on the second season. That's
yeah. I'll be starting to watch it. I never really understood what it was. I thought, okay, I don't really get what they're trying to do, and I just with everything, you know, all the news that floods in, it was really hard to say, okay, well, what am I really seeing here? But now that I understand more about it, I'm so hyped to watch it. I'll be watching it starting tomorrow.
It's good
for sure.
I don't know if you're into that, Andrew, if you're a Karate Kid fan, but it's you don't.
Well, and I don't think this one feels quite the same, right? Isn't it like a little more mature and like kind of like a
it's
dark
not
comedy?
it's not super mature. I would say maybe kind of because it's got a high school element. It still has a high school element to it because they're still he's starting up a new dojo, so you know there's kids and stuff that come into it. So it does have that aspect of it.
A little different.
No, this one's a lot different. Yeah. Yeah, it was fun. Look forward to that. Go check that out. Give it a chance. Clearly, it was good. Like I don't think they ever talked about a sequel of it until it came out, and people were like, "Yes, this show is great. Give me more." So, yeah, it's really easy. Just you just go on YouTube and I don't know. There might be a little link on there or something, but it's got a 30-day free trial. Yeah, check it out. It's fun. At least go watch the first 2 episodes. They're completely free. You ain't got to sign up for crap for that.
Yeah.
And
I'll be watching. Watching it. It sounds really cool.
It is. It's really cool. I'm glad they did it. It actually made me want to buy all the other Karate Kids and watch all those as well. Yeah,
they take a turn, especially at the third one.
Yeah, they did take a turn. But yeah, and that's it. That's enough Karate Kid. Let's talk about comics.
Sure. Yeah. So as we do every week, I give a review. I thought to do maybe a Deadpool series, but I had problems finding one that really fit for the movie that's coming out this week. So I thought, well, let me go ahead and then a coworker made a recommendation. So of course I had to like check that out. So what I'm going to review today is called The Incal Volume 1. It's also known as The Black Incal. So are you guys familiar with the Heavy Metal movie that came out in like the late 80s? It was kind of it was a cartoon, full-length feature movie, and it had heavy metal music playing in the background, and it had a whole bunch of like barbarians and space combat and like Dungeons and Dragons type of stuff going on, and it just kind of flowed from one end to the other. And it was really kind of, but Metalocalypse is a bit of a satire of it, whereas this was the original, like it was meant to be cool. And yeah, if you ever check out the art for it or see the movie, it's very iconic. I wouldn't say it's a great movie, but it's one that if you watched, you would think a lot about because there's a lot of artistry going on in there.
So heavy metal.
Yeah. So what that was actually based off was a magazine series where there was stories and comics, like your little short stories, put in and collected every week or every month. And one of the writers for that was a guy by the name of Jodorowsky. Jodorowsky is from Chile, and he was actually regarded so highly from his story in heavy metal that he was originally tabbed to be the director of the movie Dune. If you are familiar with the movie Dune, that was directed by David Lynch. The only reason it's not and the only reason it's David Lynch's Dune and not Jodorowsky's Dune is because they couldn't raise the funding for Jodorowsky to direct it. But originally that was going to be his, and they actually made a documentary about how it would look with him doing it. Yeah, and the art is by a guy named Mobius. That is his full name, Mobius. And he does super detailed, full scene type of art. And it's really cool. It gives you a really good look at like what all is going around. So you get a lot of scenery and everything else, and it's very much a lot of world building. So the world that we're talking about here is what life would be like with humans 40,000 years in the future. Not to confuse with Warhammer 40,000, but just basically humans have colonized. They're on hundreds of millions of planets now. They're everywhere, and so are aliens, and they're all interacting. And this settles on the protagonist of a guy named John Dyful, and he is he's a private investigator, and it's shown that he's a Class R private investigator. Class R is not your highest; it is your kind of menial task type of private eye. And he gets hired. If we go by
the alphabet, R's pretty low in the alphabet.
It's pretty low, right? I wouldn't think of anything as Class R being considered top of the line, right?
Right.
So, it ends up where he comes into possession of an alien artifact called the Incal, and it provides him some superpowers. And as soon as he gets it, it basically becomes very apparent to everybody around him that he now has superpowers, and they're worshiping him like a god. And he is very, schlubby man of the people. He is not a hero. And the fact that he has now bestowed this great power is kind of problematic. So everyone's trying to get it. Everyone's trying to get with him, and everyone's trying to capture him, and everyone wants the Incal. So it's kind of a chase movie now, where they're trying to get this information from, or get this this artifact from him. One of the people looking for him is probably one of the coolest characters in any comic series, called the Meta Baron. He is a Class A private investigator, bounty hunter, and he's basically the most deadly person in the entire universe. So he is trying to track down John Dyful, and at the end of the series, that's the chase is still going on, but he's closing in. So it leaves you on a bit of a cliffhanger for the volume 1. The interesting thing about this is it was written in 1980, and there's a lot of talk about technology and the way that the government treats its citizens. And you're starting to see some of those things come to life now, like the constant surveillance, the concepts of police states, and the government being much more invasive into people's everyday lives. So, not saying that that's exactly what's going on now, but very different from that time frame. I think you could see. You've got things like, government's watching your Facebook chats and everything else, right? So yeah. back when this was written, that wasn't even a concept that was really around. It was phone communications and whatever else. So very progressive. It's a very cool look at the future from the past. So I'm going to give it an 8.5 out of 10 for being so far ahead of its time. And it's just a great, fun series to read. It is a bit on the mature side, so be aware of that. Although there's nothing that you would have to see.
I googled heavy metal and heavy metal film, and the Google image results are very mature. I have to say.
Yeah. I think the very first one is a topless lady riding a dragon or something to that effect. Yeah, so be aware. But that's about as far as it goes, and it's not really gratuitous. It's more of just the the punk, hard rock, heavy metal aesthetic of, just think about any like Megadeth album cover or Metallica album cover, and imagine that being a live action movie or cartoon. That's essentially what it looks like. So you can look at it that way. But yeah, very cool series. If you have the Comixology Unlimited series, it's free to read, the first one on that. So highly recommended. I think it was a great time.
We're always plugging
yeah.
in.
Well, because it's yeah, it's just such a great deal. I read so many more comics, so many different comics that I can now because of the free nature of that. So even though I pay the $6 a month, I'm getting to read a lot of stuff that I would probably have never checked out otherwise.
Good stuff.
Cool. All right. So yeah, I think we're probably a little bit past
Yeah.
the time to do 20 questions, but
Yeah,
that's
20
up to you
questions
guys.
would make this a very long. So let's just it'll make it a very long podcast. So we're about at what we normally are. So we'll just kind of close it out. So, Andrew, since we have such a large community now, let's talk about our large community for a second. When's the
I was
payroll?
gonna say, when do we start? Where's my 401k?
It is. Yep. Shout out for still playing. Shout out for still playing. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, I said I added that. The Bad Mama Jammas is the WoW guild, the Sargeras for the Alliance, and Bleeding Hollow for the Horde. You know, head up one of the big shots there in the WoW section of PixelPub if you want to get in on that. Looking forward to the expansion. Got a lot of us playing in the beta right now, actually. So, yeah. But I think that unless Rob has anything to add, I think that's it.
I think we got it.
All right. Well, we'll talk to you guys next week.
Bye.